All right. Hello everyone. I think folks will probably trickle in gradually. I was just looking at someone else's live right now. I have my guest, Uncle Ram, backstage. So I am going to play the intro and then say a few words, and then I'll bring Uncle Ram up for this Q&A. He was gracious enough to come back. Oh, let me make sure I can see myself over on YouTube. Um, there were some technical things going on yesterday. Okay, looks like we're live. Yep, there goes the ad. Yep, and there's me. All right, so I'm going to play the intro, and then I'm going to say a few words, and then I'll bring Uncle Ram up, and let's see who all trickles in. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Oh, give me a second, everyone. I don't have the right I don't have the right intro queued up. Just give me a second here. That's the science intro. If you're coming in, please hit the like button. This is original show introductions. February. There it is. All right, just give me a few seconds while this loads up. Please hit that like button. Please shout yourselves out in the chat. Whoever is here. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. Crystal Toodle. Crystal Toodle says, just two questions. Are people too busy chasing dreams that they fail to live and miss out on life? What do you say to a person who has done it all and doesn't have anything to pursue in a dream? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, we'll come back to that. All right, I'll see you all on the other side of the intro. Please hit that like button. All right. Hello, everyone. Well, looks like we got a. I'm sorry. Let me slow down. Hello, everyone. It looks like we have Crystal Tootle there in the chat. Hello, Crystal. Um, Welcome back to my channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76, my original channel. Please like the stream or the video if you're watching on the playback. Please share it and please subscribe to my channel. I'm not going to say a lot today before I bring my guest up. My guest is backstage. Ron Wills was gracious enough to come back and talk with me for about an hour or however long we go. Tonight we're gonna be in a bit of the inspirational space for the people out there who have dreams um, of doing something, whatever that is for you all. I know that for me, my dream is being a writer, and coincidentally, Ram has a lot of experience with that as well. But two things. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. I'm actually crafting the first one right now. This link is below in the description box. There are two paragraphs there, and the subscribe button is right there at the bottom. I foresee this going out monthly, just tracking me as a blogger and a YouTube content creator and an author. So, speaking of my dream, this is my dream right here. This is from my writer's blog, Big Words Authors. And this is a page on Big Words Authors. This is my dream right here. The Engineers, a Western New York basketball story. At one point, like a lot of kids, well, I would just say a lot of inner city kids, but there are a lot of suburban kids and country kids and kids from around the world. A lot of kids wanted to be basketball players. And for a very, very little slim stretch of my life before getting to college, I dreamt of being a basketball player. And this story is about that journey, which was my first success and failure lesson in life. And it's about it's a narrative story capturing probably that 6 year span and talking about what that teaches you and what that teaches a young person, particularly a young male, about how to succeed in the world and um, how to pursue how to succeed and navigate life's other arenas. That's what the story's about. It's a two-parter, but this is my dream right here, and I'll be talking about this in the newsletter. And there are several promotional essays that I generated already. I have about 7 more promotional essays on the way. But I just wanted to front this talk with saying that this is my dream. This is what, you know, and, I guess in my subconscious, after this experience, through college, through pursuing my PhD, I always knew that I wanted to do this. But, you have different seasons of your life. And I just arrived after I started my federal job. I arrived at that season where it was just time to work on this. So, with that being said, I also started this website for other aspiring writers because if you want to write, you have to start somewhere. I started on examiner.com probably around 2012, 2013. When the Examiner closed, I started my first blog, started writing on that. I was able to monetize that after about 2 years. And then I started this blog. This blog is mostly literary writing, stories, poems, whatever. So if you're out there and being a writer is part of your dream or it's your dream and you need to start somewhere, reach out to me. I created this platform not just for myself, but for other aspiring writers as well, because there are a lot of people working their 9 to 5s who have dreams of doing other things, writing being one of them. So if that's you, reach out to me. But with that, let me get out of the way and bring up my guest for the second time. Everyone, let's welcome Ron Wills. Uncle Ron, welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back. Glad to be back. That's my thing, dreams and going for dreams and making your dreams come true. Because, hey, I'm living my dream every day.
Hmm.
You know, I'm living my dream to the thing. And the thing is, I come up with new dreams just for something else to do.
Really?
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. I had a dream of being a writer. Well, I've published 6 books. 9 are still in circulation. One has been an international bestseller, still sells well to this day after 22 years and stuff. Dreamed of helping men and women become the best version of themselves. I get testimony every single day from someone saying, "Hey, Uncle Rom, I'm going back to school. Hey, Uncle Rom, I got this business going. Hey, Uncle Rom, I'm about to get married." So it's that's just the thing in life. We all have dreams. That's what we're here for. I mean, we're on this platform on these devices. Somebody had a dream to create them, you know. And then if we get sick, all these doctors. I've known plenty of professionals, doctors, attorneys, whose dream was to do what they did, you know.
Hmm.
And let's be real. A lot of opportunities became because of one man's famous dream, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, it's like, that's the thing of going in life. It keeps you going. Dreams keep you going, and that's the important thing. And I always inspire people because I'm gonna tell you what, one of the saddest things I've seen is people who have a dream to do something and they're not living it. Like I always remember this woman who, man, she could cook. When I say she could cook, but she was working at a she was working at like an Office Depot or something, working in a section where they were shipping off books and stuff. Because I used to take them to her, ship them off. But one time she hooked me up with some food. I was like, oh my goodness, you need to be cooking. But she didn't want to go for that dream. See, that's the thing because people will die because they haven't truly lived because they had something inside of them. That's how thought processes and everything. So, I mean, it's a very important thing. And that's the main thing I do is encourage. Like, think about what we don't have out here because someone didn't go for their dream. Somebody might have the cure for something like significant. There might have been, okay, COVID. There might have been someone, if they decided to go for their dream of being a doctor or a researcher or something, might have had the cure for it right away. With no telling. I mean, a motivational speaker has spoke of the graveyard being a place where there are just so many dreams buried.
Hmm.
And it's an important thing. I mean, we all have a vision. People can call it a dream. Oh, hey, Master Teacher BGS. Welcome, welcome. But there's so many people who have something. I mean, it's scary. I've talked with people. Even though I encourage them, they might feel like, well, I can't go for my dream. I got to do all this. Okay, still go for it. Okay, I'm in a place of freedom now, but there's been times like when I first started writing and stuff, I was working on a government job, had a part-time job and a publishing company. I was like, you know, it wasn't easy at first. It certainly wasn't easy, but I kept going. Now, place of total freedom now. And
Hmm.
then still coming up with stuff, still helping people. If people don't realize what I got in the queue, when I got in the queue, there was a project I was supposed to work on that would have took me, that's going to take me to a new level that it'd be very brief, but it's going to blow people's minds. I still got, man, I got contact to do because it's simple for me to do, but I'm so busy doing stuff, like doing all my other stuff. I was like, wait, damn, you know what? I need to sit to the side, take some time off because it's ironic. The project is a few $100s and maybe 5 minutes of my time. That's the irony. But you know what? I wouldn't give it away because another thing, it gives me freedom. I can spend any amount of time with my sons. I can travel and all of that. But the main thing is making a difference, because that's always been at the core of what I wanted to do in life. Uh, I always joke with people, like the only thing I haven't accomplished yet is global domination. So I'm still working on that.
Okay. Well, I want to I sent you some questions, and we're gonna work our way back around to the main topic, which is dreams. But I
Hmm.
thought it would be fun to ask you a few more, I guess, things that are related to that. Everyone, please hit the like button if you're just coming in. The super chat is live if you want to donate something. Also, my Cash App and PayPal are there as well. Um, let's start with I thought it'd be cool to pick your brain about this YouTube content creation, because tonight we're talking about, well, in part we're talking about content creation. We're creating content right now. As a YouTuber and also as a writer, do you find, or have you found that your messaging, um, that your content creation has evolved over the years since you first started? So in other words, when you first started, were you talking about different things 10 years ago, and other things you look back at and you say, you know what, I might say that differently today? Or did you evolve, or were you always at this point?
I definitely evolved in my presentation, because I remember. See, it's funny how I even got started on YouTube. Because at first I was just writing blogs every weekend for my website. I was writing a blog every weekend. They were long ones too. Even one of my very good friends jokingly said, "Yeah, your long blogs." But one thing, as much as I love writing, every now and then you just get tired of it. You hit a writer's block or something. So, but in my mind, the show had to go on. So instead of doing a blog, I said, let me just do a video. Let me just do a video, right? Uh-oh, the equalizer is in the place, the real equalizer. Anyway, um, I was thinking, okay, I still got to go on. All right, let me do videos. And on my website, I can link YouTube videos. So I said, okay, let me do a video. And at the time, I didn't want to pay for an upgrade to go link it direct, like just put a video directly. But I said, okay, well, I got this YouTube page I don't use. Let me put a video on YouTube and just link it on the blog instead. And so I did that, and I was like, okay, let me just do that, get it out the way, and all of that stuff. But then I started noticing on YouTube, people were starting to follow me and comment, and I didn't know anything about monetization or anything. I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh, somebody comment, oh, okay. And then it just took me to another level. It just took me. And as far as evolution, now people see some of my car videos and say, oh, Uncle Ron clowning, oh, he a low key comedian. I looked at my first videos, like my very first one on YouTube, and I was just like, dang, it's just totally dry. Hey, my presentation, just totally dry. It was like a lecture, because I can do car rom, couch rom, professor rom. So it was like Professor Rom in like a athletic shirt or something.
Hmm.
So, and I was just, but as I get popular and everything, I brought out the other side, which was already there. Because as a writer, like in college, I wrote a play. I wrote a play that was actually performed. So I always had that writing skill. So, and I always had that skill, I could always be funny. I could probably write a comedy if I need to and everything. So I started bringing that in more, make it more uh, entertaining. Also with the style of, I think I've gone through like 5 or 6 microphones on for my videos. I got a 4K camera now. I was just asking another content creator who was at the last self-improvement summit. I was like, yeah, you got a badass camera. I was just on his show, Geek Speak. And so I'm always looking to expand. As I've said before, you mentioned I'm about to move. I'll be in a new place in June. I'm already thinking about how to film around there. So the thing is, yes, I'm on here, but I'm always tweaking. I'm always tweaking. I'm saying, okay, how can I do it better? What can I do? Who can I talk to as far as like better equipment and all of that. So it's a definite evolution because see, one of the things when you have very positive commenters, and you get an idea what they're responding to. Now, the interesting thing is, if depending on the channel, I'm really saying the same things. Depending on the channel, like on my main channel, I'm talking about relationships, but there's so many nuances, and I'll talk about different nuances, and then I will revisit a subject uh, every 6 months or so because I'm always getting new people. Because people will ask me something and I'm like, well, it's in the archives. I say, okay, I need to bring it up. Or maybe something happened in the world relationship wise, I'll talk about it. But then on my deep thought channel, that's just pure thinking. I'll just throw out questions. I don't act like I know the answer to it. I'll say, hey, just something to think about. Or I'll just give a perspective and everything. And I love the comments there. And then the money channel, I'm gonna tell you what, with the money channel is more about the mindset of making money. There's a ton of YouTube channels that can tell you how to set up your LLC, your business, even tell you some business stuff. My thing is you got to have a mindset for business, because there was a point I was, even though I was working, everything had the business, had to sleep on an air mattress and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
had to eat at a dollar store. But you got to have a mindset to go through that. And I look at those dollar store days, and I look at now, it's like, oh man. But for my money channel, it's about having the mindset, and then just I've converted that from because at first I would just talk about strictly business, but I was finding there was still not a lot of men and women who have a business. So I started talking about money because no matter what, you have to manage your money. Indeed, I still need to. I got in my mind the idea to do some books on how to go from minimum wage to six figures or how you could even do that, making minimum, like literally making minimum wage. There's a method that if you employ, you could be making minimum wage, but then you can end up making maybe in a year, 2 years, six figures. And it's all based on what you're doing minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, the equalizer said the life of a businessman isn't, it isn't. People think it's easy. And that's the thing. It's all about the mindset because like I said, everything's great now. Everything's great now, but oh, I remember those days where I had to struggle. It was like, shoot, I had to do consultations for mere pennies and stuff just to keep some money flowing. And I remember working full time, have to come home and do record a YouTube video and upload it. One of the best things that's happened is I can upload early now. But I remember the day I had to upload that day after working. I'm tired as heck. I say, okay, I come in, shower, do the video and stuff. And then that was only when I was just doing podcasts, which I still do. I put a picture up and talk. The live stuff I do now, well, the live recordings, I do them early in the morning while it's still quiet where I live. So it's like, and that's an evolution in itself. So it's a constant thing because you constantly want to tweak whatever you're doing, you constantly want to tweak.
Yeah. So there are a couple things I would say to that. And I wanted to ask you at some point if your messaging evolved over time. And the reason I wanted to ask that is because I noticed that mine has.
Mm-hmm.
When you start something, when you start YouTube, no one knows you. Well, if you're coming in unknown, no one knows you, so you have to get traction somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just things that you learn as you go along. You learn about the algorithm, you learn about trending topics, you learn what people are going to gravitate towards. But then you also have to think about, okay, what's my original purpose and what's my original mission, and weighing in on who's beefing with whom, or
Oh,
weighing
that's a
in
good one.
on what the president is doing, or weighing in on
Man.
this or that. There's a bit of a learning process in finding your voice and
Well,
determining what your mission is, getting back to that. But anyway, go ahead. What are you going to say?
well, what I was going to say is to this day, I have never done a video for the algorithm to this day. And if you notice, I don't jump into beefs. When people always ask me about celebrity happenings, I say I don't cover that. Whatever everybody talking about, I don't cover. Here's the reason. One of my visions is really putting out a philosophy. And when you talk about evolution, yeah, I talk about man gets woman, but the big thing I'm evolving to now is a man just being a sovereign man, living life. Those videos aren't as popular. And the relationship thing is still major. It just is. I was just watching a Netflix thing that a couple episodes, talking some ultimatum or something about some couples getting together, testing their love, something like that. Relationships is major, so I still talk about it. But ultimately, I want to see men become sovereign. We need sovereign men out here. Because one thing I found when I would talk to a lot of men, maybe in a consultation or just knowing what's going on, a big issue is they don't have any real sovereignty within their lives. And they might can get a woman for a little while, for a bit, or maybe be a boy toy or something like that, but then they don't have their own place to live or something like that. You know, they not on their mission, they not on their purpose, they not pursuing their dreams. So if somebody were to look at my content, really pay attention, that's what I'm telling them. And really, that's not new. That's actually not new, you know? Because if you read my book, Nice Guys and Players, I start off telling you, oh yeah, you can get this woman, but then I'm saying, okay, you got to build yourself up. You got to like really become proficient in all areas of life, you know? And but then the way I present it, somebody might not think about it that way. And that's the important thing. That is the important thing. It's all about evolution and the men standing up. That's ultimately what I want. That's part of my global domination plan. We need just more men to stand up. So if you actually look at it, that's what it's always been about from the beginning. And there has been an evolution in how I'm presenting that. Because one of the things I do is I'll watch my own stuff because I'm editing. And I said, okay, how can I present it? Let me see what's going on. And just peeping even the negative responses to my stuff, because it's a political thing, really telling men to stand up in this society. It's a political thing because you have a lot of forces that at least want the men to either sit down, not respond to stuff, or just do just enough to support other forces and, quite frankly, other men who are in some real power. But my thing is, if you get enough men who stand up, a lot of stuff changes overnight. Not overnight. So that's always been my main thing. Now, as far as the other stuff, like the beefs and all of that, I don't care unless it serves my agenda. That's why I don't worry about an algorithm or what's the popular thing. So, because one, I don't want to base what I do off of that, because, okay, I do that, make that YouTube money or something. What happens when that trend goes out? You get a lot of content creators, they'll do that trend thing and they'll, make their money, get some more people, but then they stuck in the staying with it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be based on that. Indeed, even with YouTube, people don't know how many platforms I have sitting and waiting outside of YouTube. Like on YouTube, just technical, a couple of nights ago, there was some type of glitch. You had people, a great many people having trouble like getting into the system and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's why I have other platforms set up and ready to go. I mean, I got stuff on there, I got people on there, got subscribers, but I got stuff set up. I can shift everything overnight. And actually, that went back to 2017 when they had that ad apocalypse, when everybody was making money, but all of a sudden they had a switch in ads and people's money just dropped overnight and stuff. And then they were, you got people to get their channels deleted unfairly. I was like, all right, let me set stuff up. Like if for whatever reason my channel gets stashed, even though I don't say anything controversial enough, but you never know. I'm like ready to go. It's like, oh, okay. Because I got all my videos saved, got them on the flash drives. I like, okay, let me upload it to this other site. I'm ready to go. Probably make more money on the subscription sites anyway, more sure money.
Yeah. Just briefly, what was the ad apocalypse? Was it they were I know channels were getting removed because
Yeah, and they cut the amount of money because I was still working a full-time job and I was about to leave that month. They all they did was they were cutting the amount of money people were getting on their ads. People were making big money, even bigger than what they are now. You didn't need super chats or anything like that. Just a mere ads. You were making people were making big bucks. All of a sudden, a lot of YouTube advertisers they were cutting back. It was the YouTube advertisers cutting back. So it was crazy. And I was like I say, I was about to leave a full-time job that very month. I had to stay a few more months because I was like, oh, wait a minute. And that's part of the reason I got other channels too. It was like, oh yeah, I'll set up stuff because one thing I do business wise, I set up stuff early. Like Zoom, I was already on Zoom for 2 years before the COVID shutdowns. I was already there. I was already there. People don't realize I'll set up something and be real quiet about it, but then all of a sudden it's like the big thing. I can smell stuff in the air, so I'm already ready. So I was already
Mhm.
on Zoom. I was like, oh, Zoom, please, I'm already on there.
Okay. Well, a couple learning points for me. I've learned that. Well, I guess this goes back to knowing what your purpose is, and your content should align with who you are. Chasing the algorithm, talking about controversial topics.
Hmm.
I realize you also need to be careful. When you're not behind an avatar, when you're showing your face, and you make this vast library, you can forget what's in your library. And someone can confront you on it, and you don't always remember what you said a year ago. You know,
um,
and that's a learning point. So you always want to make sure if you're showing people who you are, you want to make sure you can stand by what you said.
Boom. And I like how you said that because I did some stuff and people say, I said that, oh, I must have been channeling something. If you look at my overall message, it's generally the same. It's generally
Mhm.
the same. Only thing sometimes people say, well, you said this, did. And the times when I might change something, I'll specifically say, well, I talked about this years ago, but I got a different perspective now. And I say that. I said that in one of my books. I changed like from my book Nice Guys and Players to the follow-up sexual chemistry. I even said in sexual chemistry, okay, certain process we need to reverse the order of it and stuff because I'm still learning. But for my overall message, I'm basically saying the same thing, general message I was saying from day one. One, what do I talk about? Masculine men developing themselves, men developing their physiques, their bodies, their charisma, their pure masculinity. I said that on the very first video. Everything else is related to that, you know, and other stuff like I would say, probably I probably had more stuff to say about some negative aspects of women when I first started, but I kind of pulled out of that because I said and the reason was it's not for the algorithm. Like shoot, if I stayed with that, because I wasn't like as negative as some people, but I said no, men need to focus on themselves and then only focus on the good women. And even back then, I said there's plenty of quality women. I've said that I mean, I will even to this day point out some negative stuff, but I said, fellas, get yourself together and focus on the good ones. There's actually plenty of good ones. I don't spend time worrying about the negative ones. That's like worrying about the roaches running around your house or something. Now, I'm not calling women roaches, but I'm saying don't worry about the negative stuff or the dudes, even men, or like the whole Pookie and Ray Ray thing. I'm like, they doing you a favor. Why you worried about them? Like that. I would say on my channel, we don't mess with the same women, so I don't care if I see them together. Like okay, because one of the things, and I got to shout out Master Teacher BGS. He talks about the octane model. That's the classes and stuff. I say I always mess with more higher class women anyway, so I don't care about what some lower ones do. So that's the thing. And that's one of the things I want to really start getting into more anyway is class, other factors that affect relationships. See, that's part of the evolution you're saying. Because you get some people thinking, oh, just two people, they got like how they look and stuff. I say, nah, you got class, you got someone's religion, economic status. So I'm like putting out more stuff that impact relationships, but at the core, it's still about men and women, because I got a women's channel, developing themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're gonna move on. Just. I think this is
You
interesting.
got to, man. I could talk, man.
This is interesting. I still consider myself a young YouTuber, and folks
You got
who,
powerful stuff, though. Hey, look, let me just say this about your channel and what you present, because you have a definite niche, because you have a lot of people out there who are more on the intellectual side, who are
yeah,
educated. They don't want the dumb stuff or the entertaining stuff. I mean, you drop in science, and you could hit sports and all of that. Now, it might seem tough at first, but this is what I would say to you: just keep building it. There's people who want it.
yeah,
That's the beauty of YouTube. Everybody can build an audience now. Can everybody build 1 million subs or something? Nah. But you can still build a good core. That's why on my channel, a lot of times people say, "Hey, you should have 1 million subs." But now I say, I just want the wolves. I want the men who are going to work. I want the men who are going to work on my main channel. I want the men and women who are interested in a money mindset. I want the men and women who want to think. And on my women's channel, I want the women who really want a good man. So I don't worry about the rest. So what you doing is very needed, because you giving an intellectual voice, and the intellectuals are out there.
yeah.
So we need you badly. We need you, and you need all
Well,
the support you can get.
Uncle Ram, I have gone through my own evolution process, particularly on this channel, because I have a sports channel, a science channel, and an entertainment and media channel. Those are all pretty focused, but I've had to kind of recalibrate this one, and I've experimented with some things,
Mhm.
gotten away from some things. So I think I've settled on what I want to do here,
Okay.
promote myself as a writer, but also interview interesting folks like yourself. So I think I've recalibrated, but I've gone through my experimentation and my evolution myself. So, and I was thinking the other day, a lot of artists have done that. A lot of hip hop artists have done that. They started off doing more gangster stuff, and then
Mhm.
they settled and got more did more intellectual, more conscious stuff, and you see that a lot with artists. They start one way.
Um,
Prince went through evolution. Michael Jackson went through evolution. NWA, Ice Cube, they went through evolution. So
I went through an evolution in
you went through
writing, because that's still my main thing. I mean, if I had my druthers,
evolution.
I would just be writing. And I still have a bunch of books within me, a bunch of fiction books. I just need to sit down long enough and write them, because once I start writing, I can write. But it's just so much to do. Like I said, I got a ton of projects. I got a ton. Oh man, I got so much to do. But no, that writing thing, because I look at the evolution of my writing from, like, my first book was published. Well, it was a short story, was published in 1995. And then I wrote a book. It was actually a political book. It was called Sellout, but not in
Hmm.
a racial sense. It was about a black man who started out, liberal, civil rights, all of that, but then he went to the other side and became ultra conservative and stuff. But the whole premise was, on the surface he seemed like that, but on privately he was always helping people. So he was helping people in many different ways, and it even had I say it have an action hero element to it as well. But I look at the style of writing I had, and there's an evolution just in the style and how I presented and everything. Because as an artist, you want to constantly perfect your craft. Like, you're a writer, you always want to perfect your craft. Like, okay, how can I write this better? How can this flow better? Because my most recent fiction book, called Those Eyes and stuff, I've had professional editors look at that, and they were like, that's a good book. That's a good book. I couldn't put it down and everything. Like, these are writers and stuff. And I thought about it. I was like, if I was writing the same way, like stylish wise, I was back in the 90s, they'd have been like, okay, Ron, it's a good idea, but we got to work with you and stuff. But that's part of the evolution. That's part of the evolution. And really, some of my writing comes out even in how I present, car rom and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
in fact, on my rom TV, I have a series. It's called Confessions of a Dog. Confessions of a Dog, but it's not like some commentary. It's actually I'm playing a character named Dog, or calling himself Dog, and he's talking about his exploits and his time dealing with women. It's more like a confession, like a player who's ran through so many women. He's confessing his sins.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was going to do something like that as a book, and still might, and everything. Because, like I said, I got plenty of ideas, and there's still a writing style that I want to do that I actually saw someone else do. It's very specific, and I would call it a flow of consciousness thing. I still want to do that. So it's, you still want to perfect your craft regardless of what it is. It could be writing, it could be art, like drawing, it could be playing music and stuff. It could be cooking. That's a craft right there, you know? So you
Mm-hmm.
always want to do that. You always want to perfect it.
Okay. Um, Everyone, the super chat is live. If you want to super chat any questions to Rom or any comments, you're welcome to do that. Also, if you want to make a donation via Cash App or PayPal, that is there. Now, I don't want to hang us up on this, but there was, just for I think you get a kick out of this. Just as a young YouTuber, a couple of lessons learned. Number one, well, if YouTube doesn't like what you're saying, they will snatch the video down.
Mm-hmm.
They will snatch the channel down.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way, and they were gracious enough to put my science channel back up. But also the ad suitability. I didn't realize they're making a determination on whether or not your videos are ad suitable.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's something you think is benign and harmless, they could still say this is half ad suitable or it's not ad suitable. There's a video in my library that's still up. I was interviewing Mother Eva Doyle from Buffalo, New York, about Black History Month. For some reason, they determined that was not ad suitable, and we didn't cuss in that video. We didn't say anything bad about anybody, but they said nope. So that's that. And I've noticed since this channel got monetized, and I had that experience. I noticed when I look around, even content creators with large audiences, I noticed if they're talking about something controversial, they're not going to get
Mm-hmm.
AdSense.
Yeah. One thing about that, I make them review it. Whenever I get that limited ad thing, I make
Oh,
them
really?
review it with a person.
Okay.
Just hit like if you see it and you notice it says it's not suitable. That's the AI, and it's just they look for a word. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna make you look at it and tell me. And if you tell me, then I'm gonna like, okay. And even then, I've had some stuff like that. I've had some stuff like that, right? Where they said it wasn't suitable, limited, and it still had ads on it. Still had ads. Because like when I'm going through the ads, like you got to check something. I always just automatically put like on my men's and women's channel, automatically put adult content. Unfortunately, some of the ads they'll put on there, they be putting on like stuff about dating sites, stuff like that, and erectile dysfunction, stuff like that. It's like, okay, but you know what? Just check, review it, make them review it. That means they got to manually review it, and if they still say whatever, that's on them because the AI they just look for certain words because they're okay. Like my Sunday videos.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do a simulcast of the same video on all my channels. I remember there's a couple times on 3 of the channels they wouldn't have a problem with the ad. So the exact same channel, the exact same thing, particularly on my woman's channel, they're like, oh, it's under review, limited ads. I'm like, what? How's it get passed on here? So always just click review, request review. That's all you have to do. Request it. And if they still say it's unsuitable, okay. It's like, all right, yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
know it's controversial now. And even then, I've had ads like that, and he still had ads on there. Because what they'll say is limited ads.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't had a situation where they say nothing at all. They just say limited ads. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes, because I remember I was looking at one of my videos, waiting for it to come up. They had a 42-minute ad. I was like, that ain't an ad. What the heck y'all talking about? Like that's what I tell people on my I tell people that's like if you please if you can't sit through it if it's no more than 2 minutes, if it's longer than that, just skip. I wouldn't put that in. I wouldn't put that on anybody. I don't want money that bad because I don't sit through them. Don't sit through a 42-minute ad. That's
That's
some
a long
cheap
ad.
stuff. Yeah, that's some cheap stuff. I actually had a person say they actually sat through one of those. I was like, you're a good man. Because I don't sit through my own ads. I was like, I use my other sites to make money because that's some bull. Because in
Okay.
fact, YouTube, if they smart, they would keep the ads short because then people will sit through them better. Like 30 seconds, people might just say, I'll let it play out, you know?
Yeah. Now I noticed on one of your most recent videos, I think you gently ask your viewers to watch up to a certain point, the
Yeah,
ads, because
yeah.
so they have to watch we have to watch to a certain point for the content creator to get a piece of it or something, or
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll say this if it's like 2 minutes or less, like a 30-second ad, nah, please just sit through it. You helping me out. You don't have to donate, it's free.
Mhm.
And if it's 2 minutes or less, okay, you might can sit through it. If it's over 2 minutes, just skip unless you just like the ad or something, like it's a trailer or something. I don't mind because I'm not going to ask. You know me, I don't ask for donations, anything like that. And I'm not going to ask people to do something I wouldn't do because I even though I know I can make money if I just let it play, I'm like, I don't have time for that. So I don't ask y'all to. I was just like, nah, no more than 2 minutes. And even then, sometimes you might not want to do that long. I say 30 seconds, 15 seconds, that's nothing because I'll do that. I just say, okay, I'll let it run out. But those long ones, that's ridiculous. They be having like 40 minutes or something. That's some like psychotic stuff in my mind. So, but
Okay.
and plus, anyway, and I know at least for me, I can't speak for other people. I mean, I have my books and everything. I got on demand videos, I got subscription sites. So, I'm like, I get it another way. Because at the same time, the only issue with ads, I appreciate it's the fun, it's my personally, it's my fun money. I don't, um, that's not my main thing. It's almost like I'm advertising for all my other stuff outside of YouTube. So whatever I get here, oh, okay, my fun money. Let me put it in the bank. Uncle Sam will get it later, maybe.
Mhm.
you know.
You know what? I think that's another misconception of YouTube is that um, some people look at it and say, okay, well, this is all this person does. Well, there are a lot of YouTube content creators who are writers. They're
Yeah.
real estate people. They have something else.
Mhm.
Maybe that's funding most of their business, but this is just a part of
Yeah.
their overall operation.
Yeah. And honestly, if they doing it and they making a million like some well-known content creators, what's the issue? It's fair. It's like shoot, why not? It was like this old joke from the ancestor Robin Harris. They were talking about Larry Bird. Say Larry Bird ain't nothing. All he got is a 3-point shot, and Robin Harris is like, that's all he needs. So if you're a YouTube creator and it's paying your bills, it's paying your mortgage, it's putting money in your pocket and stuff, okay, that's all you need to do. Just like, don't worry about it. Just like people crack me up with that. But most people though, they're going to have something else outside of it. Most people, and it is what it is. Because I actually had a detractor try to come at me. It's like, oh yeah, you be making a couple videos a day, which is actually less. If you look at my main video, that's roughly around 10 to 15 minutes. Car videos, well, they've been going longer, maybe 20 to 25 minutes, right?
Hmm.
All right, that's still less than an hour. That's still less than most live streams because then that's it. And then there's, of course, some days you get like a 10-minute podcast, not even 10 minutes, really. So I'm like, But you get people, one thing about detractors or anybody trying to talk, they come with the dumbest stuff. I remember somebody said something about my bookcase. They say, hey, your bookcase ain't nothing. Okay, but okay, would it need to be anything for it got what I had? I'm like, it kills me with some people. Like, I was like, hey, man, I almost want to stop sometimes. Hey, come on, man. Why don't you come back? It's like you going to somebody's house to threaten them. You got like some baseball bat, and the person say, okay, hold up, man, go get a gun and come back correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's look, people got lives anyway. Even beyond YouTube, we got lives.
We got
You
lives.
know,
Well,
everybody got lives. That's one thing too. Because one thing I've had to tell some people who hit me up privately on like IG or something. I say, I don't have all day just to sit around and answering questions. I'm polite as possible, but sometimes, sometimes I got to go out and hang out with my pimps and stuff. I mean, my sons.
your sons.
Yeah, I call them my pimps because they be getting money out of me. Especially my youngest, he just like to eat. He got an itinerary and stuff. I tell him, man, you better do some work for me or something because I don't give them a regular allowance. They got to work for their money. He'll offer to do it. They hustles though, but I love them.
Well, I think that's a nice segue. There was one other question I wanted to ask you before we got back to pursuing our dreams and the importance of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
I see folks coming in and out. If you want, the super chat is live. If you want to super chat something to us, or if you want to make a donation by Cash App or PayPal, that information is here. I see Salchi is there in the chat. He's been up a couple of times. Uncle Rob, how are you? Because you have a money channel,
Mm-hmm.
and I watch the money channel pretty regularly. How are you doing, or how are you viewing what's happening in the world now, in the country now, in terms of inflation and elevated gas prices, and what are your thoughts on all that, or any
Well,
of that?
the thing is managing your money. Just
Mm-hmm.
managing your money. Really ask yourself, okay, what am I spending my money on? Because I did a video, a podcast rather. Because when I don't like do it live or something or show my face live, I just call them podcasts and then the other stuff videos. But I said, okay, figure out ways you can save money. Doing basic maintenance around your own place and stuff. That's something. Really thinking about what you buying out here. Now with what gas prices going up and stuff. Well, okay, maybe you got to be more strategic where you drive. See, it's all in how you manage money. See, that's the real issue. If you look at the poor, they a poor person making minimum wage can still build to become I say at a minimum 6 figures and stuff, which honestly, and the real equalizer can tell you, Sao Chi, he can tell you, shoot, that's not even necessarily middle class like it used to be. It ain't as big as it used to be, but you can still build up if you manage your money. Okay, like the poor, one of the issues they have, they'll spend their money on stuff that really is not helpful. Now, if you got to spend money on rent and food and stuff, okay, that's okay. But some of this extra stuff you don't need and stuff. If you took that same money and saved it, and then used the savings to maybe I don't know, do something for a small business, or maybe look at some investments, maybe certain stocks, maybe certain real estate funds, something like that. You could actually build the money up, because it's all in how you do it. Because, when you have half of Americans who can't handle a $400 emergency, that's a problem. But if you look at how they spend their money and where they spending it, all they had to do is cut back from that. Maybe they don't have to get stuff from like that that corner joint, that corner pickup joint or something. Maybe they need to work on their cigarette addiction and stuff, or eating the fast foods, like eating better foods or something, finding where you can get better fruits and stuff. Even though fruits and stuff is expensive, but it's also good for you, you know. And it actually, like just healthcare costs, all of that. You can do a lot for yourself by just eating better. But it's all in how you manage your money. It's all in how you manage your money. Because indeed, even some people making six figures and stuff, some of them are broke at the end of the month because they spending money on wealth reducing asset or wealth reducing liabilities. They didn't need a boat in their yard. They only use it twice a year. They didn't need a boat. They didn't have to pave their driveway. The driveway was in pretty good shape anyway, you know, or they didn't have to buy that expensive late model car. That economy car works just as well and probably less the upkeep and drives just as well as the late model car. Now, if you can afford it, that high end car, that's something different. But then people spending money on stuff they don't really need or can't really afford. And then you take that extra money, you put it into a savings, and then use that savings as as an investment for money, things to invest in. You know, so it's all about that money management. And see, that's the thing out here. Even with the inflation, okay, it's like okay, yeah, gas going up, prices going up. You know, you don't need that extra food. You really don't. You don't need those like fun things, you know. So it's all in how you manage it. So it's like, okay, this stuff is happening. And plus, it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last. You can ride it out because indeed, so if you look at the rich, when stuff like this is happening, they salivating. They are salivating. Like during the last housing crisis, a lot of people lost their homes and all of that. There were some rich people like, oh yeah, we got some stuff to buy up, because then that always happens. That always happens. And I actually learned that not from anybody else, but talking with my grandmother. She went through the Great Depression, didn't know she was poor. She said they were wealthy. She never had a bad story about it because her mother and parents, they were like my great grandfather was a minister and had a government job, which was something for a black man back then. My great grandmother had a job. So they were living in a four-story townhouse. And those like those big houses now that would go for $1 million too. So, but they knew how to manage their money. I learned how to manage my money from her. So even with everything going on, you can still get through it. In fact, I've never every single recession we had, major or minor, I've gone through as an adult. I never noticed because I just knew how to manage my money. So that's one of the things. That's why I call my channel, my money channel, Money Matters. A lot of what I'm talking about is just managing what you have.
Okay.
Like, let me just say something about that real quick. I talk about the savings. Just get in the habit of paying yourself first. Once I put money in my savings, I don't touch it again. I don't touch it again until tax time. And even then, whatever I pay for tax, that's it. That's it. And I still have plenty of money left. But I don't touch it. Once it goes in, I act like I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all in how you manage it. It's like, don't let it burn a hole in your pocket. Because like I said, you got people making six figures and they broke at the end of the month. They living paycheck to paycheck too. So they not managing their money right. You don't need that big old house. You can get a good house in a good neighborhood, very good neighborhood, maybe not as big and stuff, So it's all in how you manage it.
Let me read these two super chats. I want to thank Adrian. He says, salute Dr. Dunbar and the Field Master. And Salchi says, salute to the Field Master and Doctor with the emoji there.
And you got Sal Chi. I think you had him on your channel. He'll tell you how to get through all of this. That's the expert. Yeah. I can talk from my basic thing, but if you want the expertise, that's him right there.
Yeah, we've talked about it. But while you're here, I figured I'd get your thoughts as well. I'm going to read a few of these comments, then we'll move on to the last part. Crystal Tootle, shout out to JCSU, says most poor only work to keep a roof over their heads. It's not any extra, so there isn't any extra. I think that's what she's trying to say. She says once they get food and
let me address that.
All right.
I've been around the poor. No, they don't have a lot extra, but a few dollars every month can build up quickly. A few dollars every month. and depending on how you use it, spend it and stuff. Like say you in business or something, like I don't know, you had business at a flea market. You buy, I don't know, some materials, some little materials or some little stuff to make some shea butters or something like that. You go there and sell it, boom. So it depends on how you spend it, because a lot of them will spend money on cigarettes and stuff like that. That's extra. Foods they don't need, clothes. They be looking fly. And in those poor neighborhoods, they make sure they selling stuff almost full price. That's why you got so many businesses in poor neighborhoods, because they know they're gonna spend their money. Liquor stores and stuff. Somebody cut like the cigarettes, liquors, and all of that. All of a sudden, they got extra money. So it's all they spend it. Because, like I said, they'll talk about poor neighborhoods, right? You know how they say, yeah, this neighborhood poor, but then you can find a ton of business. Go in any poor neighborhood in the country, and there's businesses there. So where they getting it from? And it's usually, especially if it's in the Black community, it's usually like Asians, people from other countries and stuff. And then they make their money, go back to the suburbs and stuff where they live. And so there's money there. So,
Okay. I'm gonna read just a few more of these. I don't want this. Chris is leaving a lot here. She's liking this stream. She says once they get food and travel to work, they don't have extra. Let's see, you can't.
It's all in how they manage it.
If folks that have
they
extra,
manage it.
I think it's a lot of people illusions of the poor or working class.
I came from the poor and working class, so trust me, there's extra. Because I tell you what, my grandmother, she lived a very lucrative life, but she worked in the government, but she was a low grade, but yet she owned several properties. I learned how to money manage from her. She knew how to leverage money. That's all it is. So I learned that because I thought she was rich. She had properties, beach properties, all of that, but she was only a grade 4 in the government. She could travel, everything, but she knew how to manage it.
Okay.
So she even owned commercial property at one point. She knew how to manage it. That's all it is. It's a mindset, because let me go deep into that. If you put someone with an abundance consciousness into a poor environment with no money, they can build it up quick. There was a show called Undercover Billionaire where they would give I watched the first season. They gave this billionaire, self-made billionaire. He had lived poor before. They put him into this neighborhood, city he had never been to, and they only gave him, start him off with $100. And within 90 days, he had basically got a business going and everything. That's still in business. But he had an abundance mindset. That's why, but then you get some people that have a poverty consciousness. When you put those, that's why you get a lot of people, they can win the lottery, get millions of dollars, but then they broke in a year because they had a poverty consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about the mindset, And there was a point about 15 years ago, I was working on a job, minimum wage. So, it is 6 figures now. So it's like, but I had a certain consciousness. So trust me, it's all about the mindset. And I know from personal experience. It's all about the mindset.
Okay.
There was a point I only had one undershirt to wear to work. I had to wash it. It was tough. I went through, it was some stuff because, going through life, you go through stuff. You go through down periods. Or if you have the right mindset, you can survive it and move up.
Okay. Isada says, and then we'll move on. Some families received over $10,000 in stimulus payments and have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The mindset. You give that 10,000 to somebody with a abundance consciousness. You give that to you give them that 10,000. They have them give some of that to Sal Chi. He'll increase their money for them. That's what I'm saying. It's all in what you do with it. It's all in how you spend it and stuff. Like how you spend it, what you spend it on. Like, okay, business wise, like say, even if I wasn't doing YouTube, I would take that money and get some books printed up. then sell those books, hit some flea markets, hit some bookstores, sell those books. All of a sudden, say I got $10,000 worth of books, I'll increase it to $30,000 in cash. So it's all in how you spend it, what you do with it. But unfortunately, some people got that money and they didn't spend it correctly. They didn't use it. See, my thing is use the money you get to make more money. Because most of the extra money I get, I'm putting it into some equipment. I look at everything, even the clothing I get. I'll do these videos, had the polos on Lacoste, but that's part of the show right there. It's an investment. Shoes, an investment. Car, investment. Everything I look at when I spend money, it's very, very rare I spend something just willy-nilly. I got to think, okay, what's this going to make money and stuff? I paid cash for my smartphone. A lot of people say, oh, that's a crisp picture. That's a crisp picture. I ain't see it as some style or something. I say investment. Everything I do is how can I make money from this?
Mm-hmm.
Even the gym membership, how can I make money from it? Okay, it's helping my health. It's keeping me going. Okay, money. Have that mindset. Boom.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, we need to, because trust me, I could keep talking on this forever.
So
let me just say one more thing about the money channel. I thought that was going to be
ahead.
my big channel when I started. Seriously, when I started,
Really?
I really did, because I thought everybody wanted to make money. Because dudes be saying I gotta make money to get women. Okay, money channel. If I get 300 views on a video, that's a big video on there. I just said, okay.
Well, Uncle Ram, my experience is and maybe you've experienced something similar or not. Money's a tricky subject. It's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's very emotional. And people have different views on controlling it, because
Mm-hmm.
what you basically said, what you talked about, is controlling it, controlling where it goes, making decisions about where it goes and how often
Yeah,
it goes. For a lot of people, that's hard.
I know.
That's hard.
Unfortunately,
It
unfortunately,
yeah. It's
we need financial education in the schools. They would do better teaching people what's called about financial houses. It's a very simple formula that millionaires use. Very simple. I think Robert Kiyosaki, I think he talked about it, but I actually saw it by this book by Myron Golden called The Ebony Treasure Map. And he talked about I did a couple videos on it. If you go to my money channel, look for financial houses. It's a very simple formula, very simple. It increased my income by 60,000 when I started employing it. So it's a very simple formula.
yeah.
It's not magic or anything. It's all in how you spend your money. That's it.
Okay. And for some people, well, there's a segment of the population that budget is a bad word. It's a bad word.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because with everything going on, that's why a lot of people are in trouble. That's why a lot of people have a lot of money. That's why they're struggling and everything. You got to have a budget. I type out. I got charts and stuff where I have all my bills on it and everything, and how much I need to pay my bills. Take care of that. Every month I put money. I always put like a few thousand into my savings. I don't touch it again. I don't touch it, not even for emergency, because even then, for emergency, got the credit, but then I pay that off quick. So it's like it's all in how you manage it, and that's it. And
Hmm.
if we can teach people, in fact, that house of money formula, if you teach that to high school students, it'll change everything right away. But then that's another conversation, because then we get into why the elites keeping people under their thumb. So why don't you just go on? Well, that could be another show, but just go on with your questions.
You're right. Crystal's active in the chat tonight. This is important. She says, why must only a person go into businesses to prosper in America? What about others? What about teachers? I see extra goes back into the classroom. Healthcare workers, they don't have extra when cost of living is way above. So I think what she's trying to say is why does one have to go and start a business to prosper in America? Well, I would part of that is the way the country's built, is the tax
Yeah,
laws. They're different. this isn't Rich Dad Poor Dad. There are different tax laws for how you make your money. That's just
Mhm.
how that is. And you don't have to um, start a business to prosper. I would argue that it helps, but you have a choice over which career you choose and where you live,
Yeah, yeah. You can, yeah,
and
depending
how
on
you
your
live.
career, something. But here's something too. Okay, say someone is a teacher. What if they decide to start a school or a chain of schools, private schools or something? So it just depends on how you do what you do. Now, if you waiting for some, and but just in general, if you wait for somebody else to pay you, they just gonna pay you so much because they trying to make their money too. So, and that's just how it is. I mean, if I was president, I used to say that if I was president, the teachers be the highest paid out here because they influence so many lives. It is what it is. But they can still do other stuff. They can create classes, they can create schools, stuff like that. It's something for every. They just got to look at it, and then they can still invest. They can be investors, or get into certain stocks. You know, something. They can still be a business owner, take any money they save, and maybe have part ownership in a business or have something on the side. But I mean, that's just a reality. When you're getting paid by somebody else, they're always going to limit it. They're always going to limit it. It is what it is.
Okay. Well, let's move on to dreams and purpose and mission. Let's get back to that.
Okay.
So on Sundays, you simulcast to YouTube and Instagram, and two recent offerings that stand out to me are the two discussing the importance of pursuing your dreams and also
Yeah.
not getting distracted from your
Yeah.
path. Sometimes I watch those. Well, oftentimes I watch those, and I think you're speaking directly to me. But what was your motivation for creating that content? Do you think more people need to hear that, or
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Because we all have dreams. Everybody, everybody has something that they want to do. Now, of course, life is tough. Sometimes you have to work. I mean, I've always joked about having 1,000 jobs, but even when I had a business, I've had to work in places I might not have worked ordinarily. I had no problem saying because of a family situation, my credit got messed up. I'll say what the family situation was. My grandmother passed, and I had to come out of my pocket to bury her, and then she didn't leave a will, so there was a whole bunch of stuff. It messed me up financially. It messed me up to the point when I needed, even though I had my publishing business, when I needed another job and stuff, I couldn't do what I was qualified for because credit was messed up. I couldn't get a government job. They were like, "Oh, your credit messed up." And I was like, "Okay, let me work some retail." And ironically, working there, I actually learned a lot. I actually learned a lot. But the thing that kept me going through it all was the vision, the dream. I was still working on books. I was still doing it. And ironically, even working retail, let's put it like this. I had in my mind, I got a whole nationwide retail system set up, bookstores and stuff. I just learned from what I do. But it was tough because, getting back to the whole concept of just not being distracted from your path. Unfortunately, the path to success to make your dreams come true is not a straight line. It's a squiggly ball.
Wow.
It's a squiggly ball. You might take 10 steps forward, but then something happens, you got to take 13 steps back. And then you driving along, you get a flat, you got a detour or something. You might just stop someplace for a while, but you got to keep going because when a person has a dream, that's inside of them. That's what they feeling, you know? Because when we're born, everybody has something that they want to do. They have something that they click with and stuff. Everybody, every single person, something they rather do. And sometimes it's not even about money. You might feel moved to do stuff with children, and you ain't. It's not even about the money. It's what you want to do. Like you might feel like I knew I played soccer with this woman, and she just wanted to do stuff to help the young boys in her neighborhood and stuff. That's it. It's not about the money. It's what you feel on your heart you want to do. See, when people aren't living their dreams, there's always a frustration. Many people get depressed. Many people get depressed. They don't feel like that they're doing what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always there. Even if they making money, there's some people, there's attorneys out there. There's attorneys. There's doctors out there. Well, doctors tend to stay with their dream, but you got attorneys, professionals and stuff, and they making plenty of money, but it's not what they want to do. I've known attorneys who, they were making money, but they didn't like what they were doing. They would leave it to do something less, because that was really their dream. They feel like it. Because when you're pursuing things, and even if you work it, even if you're making a lot of money, but it's not what you want to do, you putting stress on yourself. And all of a sudden you doing stuff to like cope with it. I mean,
Wow.
you got a lot of professionals who are using drugs and stuff because they're trying to cope with what they're doing. It's not their dream. Like I know a powerful attorney now, a lady friend. I mean, high up, making money and all of that. But if she had her druther, she'd just be playing the cello. And she does on the side, but she'd just be doing it all the time. And she probably will when she get to a point she can retire. But that's her dream. It would have been just doing the music. In fact, she had left the legal field for a little bit, but had to come back because of divorce and all of that. So it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, and you want to keep going because it's going to be. When I first started writing, I've had, I used to have a lot of women. They would be like, my writers don't make money. How you gonna support me if you're a writer? One woman said that. I was like, honey, I don't know your name. But you gonna get that. You get your own family. They're like, hey, get that job. They want you to get that steady job or something. You might have an idea to do something else. Now it's tough, and I know they're looking out for you, but you won't know until you make it. But what happens when you make it? What happens when you live it? Those are the people who are happy, who are doing exactly what they wanted to do, who
Yeah.
followed their dreams. Those are people who got the happiness out here, you know?
Well, a couple of things. Many of us were socialized to get the job, get that job, keep that job. To this day, I can
Mhm.
think maybe a year or so ago, my father said, you get to work remotely, twice a week before the world event. That's what I call it. Before the world event happened, that's for the algorithm. But he said, if I were you, I'd keep that job. Don't quit that job.
I
It's
understand.
job, job, job. But I see the logic though, because you have to live in this country.
Yeah,
You have to eat. You have to put
yeah.
a roof over your head. You need clothes. You need some transportation. So I get it. So there's a bit of a jump somewhere between that and then setting out to do what it is you really want to do. Go ahead.
And it's a tough thing. That's the tough thing because you still got to eat and stuff. What I would say then for people who pursuing their dream, maybe, it's not making money, it could be a business, it could be a art or anything. See the job as your day job. See what your dream as your main thing. And even if you got to work on your day job full time, still see it as your day job. It's a psychological thing. Okay, you have to do it. With you while you there, this ain't the main thing. You still got your main thing, but you still have the job. Look at, and then when you're on the job, make it as fun as possible. I knew when I was coming up, there was a woman who was a second mother to me, and she needed to get a part-time job, and it was cleaning. It was just cleaning buildings and stuff. She started part-time, but she got to the point where she was running stuff. She was able to turn it into a business. And she was making so much money, she would get a car or something, just give it away to her kids. She was buying property and everything. She made it fun. But then she was able to use that to do the things she wanted to do. So even when you have to work on a job, which most of us are going to have to, most of us are going to have to, there's no shame in it. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's easier to handle if you know the job is supporting what you're really doing for your dream, the thing you want to do. And that's how you got to look at it. That's the important thing.
I want to thank Yagami for the $2 super chat. He says, greetings and supporting. I want to
Thank you.
read. You kind of answered the next question I was going to ask. I'm going to uh, read Crystal's comment. Crystal, I appreciate your uh, uh, participation tonight, and I'm glad that you and I are in a good place now. Um, she says, maybe I'm in the wrong country because this country has taken the passion out of everything. I've taken a poll from many folks. I think she's trying to say that a lot of working class folks, a lot of professionals aren't passionate or happy about what they're doing. I think that's what she's trying to say.
That's every country though.
Well, you know what, Rob? I've heard that in our country, in this country, we work harder
Hmm.
than with the European countries, for example.
Yeah,
So
but
here, yeah, we just grind and grind and grind, take 2 weeks vacation, and then just grind and grind and grind some more.
that's the nature of things. I mean, that's the world itself. Because what are we grinding for? Let me go deep thought a little bit.
Go for it.
Conspiracy theorists. While everybody's working, who are they working for? They're working for elites who are living a life with no bounds. Because think about where all that work you're doing is going up to the elites one way or the other. And they sitting down, they having fun chilling and stuff. So it's like you can be maybe not on the elites, you don't need to be, but if you're working smarter and have that dream, you can create what you're going to do wherever you are, no matter where you are. Because one of the things is, especially on my men's channel, I talk about sovereignty. You can still create your world. You can still approach that job and everything if you're working smart for your money and managing that money right. You can put yourself in a position where it's not a grind and not taking anything from you, but you turn in that and turn it into your thing. Like I said, circumstances, I had to work retail, right? Like I said, after I figured out stuff, like if for whatever reason I say I don't want to do YouTube anymore, I can set up like stores across the country. You know, in fact, I was thinking of I actually have a connection with some place where I can get uh, wholesale like luxury shirts like polos, Lacoste, all that other stuff. I mean, it wouldn't be first run, but I would get it like a plan I had in the back of my mind was getting it, selling it at like local markets, vending shows, and stuff like that. You know, and you could set up something. But see, I learned from what going through it. Instead of getting mad, even developed a skill set that I can always get a job with if you know I needed one. You know, because everything I did, I would take a skill set. Like I've worked in gyms, I got a skill set there for sales. You know, working retail, I was a merchandiser. Merchandisers would be making like six figures. So it's like just took what I was learning, just took what I was learning and said, okay, yeah, I got to work on this job. Let me learn everything I can from it. I learned that from my grandmother. She said, hey, wherever you got to go, learn from it and then put it into something else. Put it into something else. Like I could set up a clothing store if I wanted to right now, and I still might.
Yeah, Uncle Ram, you mentioned the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. One of the things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in those books is make sure you take all the marketable skills you can from your job and
Mm-hmm.
apply that to your dream or your business. So there was something at my current job,
Mm-hmm.
a speaking opportunity just emerged. And one of the things I thought about was, well, when I finish this book, one of the things I'm going to need to do, and where a lot of the money is made, is actually out speaking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything you can get from your day job, you're there working for them, but you got to think, how can I take this and market it for myself?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I said, yeah, I was put in a position, and ironically, with the retail job, I was working on an office job. It started part time. They they actually it started minimum wage, right? Only stayed at minimum wage for 2 weeks because they wanted more. They would say I was doing a good job. They say, "Want you to hear more?" I said, "Yeah, I gotta give me more money because I got another job." And that job was working in a market research office. So I was learning from them too. Like that's brilliant right there. Always take every opportunity you have to learn something. You got a skill. You got a skill. Seriously, because even the retail thing, I'm still cool with the place I was working. I could, I see the manager, she'd be like hugging and all of that. I was like, shoot. I said, if y'all didn't bother me, because they would be slick with it. Because I said, like do some work. I said, look, I'll just empty the truck or something just for something to do. And something don't really need the money, but just for something to do. But I said, nah, because I know how they would. They'll have me like merchandising half the store because I was good at it. So, and ironically, when I was working there, if I wanted to, I could have moved up to corporate level with them easily. But I
Okay.
learned something. That's the key. You got it correct. You always want to do something. You always want to learn, no matter what it is. It could be cleaning something. I actually had a job cleaning the streets back when I was in college, 1984, in one of DC's roughest neighborhoods and everything. So I learned from that too. So
Yeah.
that's very smart. That's
Yeah.
very smart.
That assignment came up. No one else had. It's went by my radar, initially, and no one else signed up for it. And I saw it. I said, wait a
Mhm.
minute. I said, give me that. I can make good
Mhm.
use of that.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you what with public speaking,
uh,
because I can see you as a in demand public speaker. I can see that easily. I think you got the charisma for it and everything. You don't tell it. I'm gonna tell you what. Some people with some money now, not just ordinary people with some money will pay for it. Because one thing with people who really make money, upper middle class and above, they pay for education. They will pay you. You get some millionaires, they'll give you $2,000, $3,000 per head to speak. And then you probably walk out of there with like $50,000 or something. And to them it's nothing. But they want to be educated. See, that's one thing with people with money. They want to be educated. That's their thing. You see their libraries or what they watch. They watching documentaries. They got those books telling them how to make more money, you know? Or it could just be on your science or something. They just want to know stuff. So they have a different mindset. So as your public speaker, I can see that being very lucrative for you.
yeah, that's something that's on the radar. That's one of the reasons why I started my science channel, because I think that there aren't enough Black male STEM professionals out being visible. We have images
Mhm.
of everything else, but guys like me are not out in front,
Man,
unfortunately.
we need that though. We need that because one of the sad things is, and I actually have a video coming on my Deep Thought channel next week because you know how I do stuff early, talking about how the media promotes the lowest common denominator of Black culture.
Yeah.
They always show the terrible stuff. They always show the bad stuff. I ain't gonna get into that guy who was shooting up in New York, and
Mm,
apparently he was following a lot of Black manosphere people.
mm,
But they show that image. But do they show the image of a genius brother such as yourself? Do they show the image of another brother, Geek Speak, uh, his brother named Daron Brown, uh, who who has a master's? He's highly intelligent. Do they show some of these brothers who they can make a radio out of a rock? I mean, very well in STEM. In STEM, people need STEM badly. They want people to sign up for it. And you got some brothers out there, who probably might have that talent, but all the images they seeing is of the lowest images.
yeah.
And that's a political thing. That's a propaganda thing. Understand propaganda. They want you to have that image, you to think about it. But a brother like you up front, or brothers being attorneys, being doctors, being CEOs of something, you get a critical mass of those images, all of a sudden you change what we have out here. And
Yeah.
you get these young brothers say, hey, it's all right that I'm into all these electronics and stuff,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
I was also going to add on athletes and entertainers.
Oh yeah.
So the
Oh
lowest
yeah.
common denominator, but also that thing that's the 1% that only a few people are gonna get to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing because, but then if you get somebody who can computer programming, I remember I had a conversation with a brother who was working for the government. I met him at a birthday party that my youngest son was at and stuff, there, and he was saying, "Look, we got so many openings for people for cybersecurity. It's scary. We want people badly." Cybersecurity, that's been a real war constantly going on. There's constantly somebody trying to hack something in this country, constantly. And they need that. That's them. That's them. And that's them. The way things going, even though I'm not big on the whole meta thing and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
like it or not, people still are employing that technology. The technology we have here. Now imagine you get a bunch of brothers and sisters who creating sites like this and stuff, coming up with some stuff. I mean, plenty of blacks came up with the stuff anyway. We need to know that. So we need that STEM. Shoot, we need that badly. And we got a lot of brothers, they technical minded, even some young men who might be on the spectrum. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them are very technical minded. That's a perfect thing for them. So it's like what we need those images out there. We need those images. So that's very important. So what you're doing is of the utmost importance. I'm doing my thing, but this is my path. I'm not the science guy. I'm more the artist. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more the writer. And that's cool because we need writers who want to put up information or put out either nonfiction information or even fiction, even entertainment that shows positive images.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got to do their job. Your job is you doing the writing and the technical stuff. So we need you out there, brother, more than anybody. Seriously. Nothing against everybody else, but we need you and others like you to balance it out. To show, okay, you can be an athlete and you could be a science guy. Think about how powerful that is.
Mm-hmm.
Think about some young men thinking, hey, you know what? My jump shot ain't all that, but hey, I know how to hack this computer, or I know how to write these computer programs. I should say hack, but write these. Well, actually, there's a lot of white hat hackers working for the government to keep us from being, keep these systems up.
Right.
You know, shoot, YouTube when there was that glitch and something, that might have been a serious hack from somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Uncle Ron, we're at an hour 30 minutes. I got two or three more, and then that's it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
So you mentioned using your 9 to 5 to support your dream. If someone wanted to just say screw it and walk away altogether, is there a certain amount you'd recommend having in the bank? 6 months, a year's worth of savings, or
Um, I mean, ideal a definite year.
a year?
Ideal definite year. One of the things, if you want to do that, unless if like say hypothetically you don't have that year, you might have a few months. You're gonna have to downgrade greatly, greatly, sell a lot of stuff. You might have to move into a somewhat questionable neighborhood, or even move in with family if they will have you. But you're gonna have to downgrade, and you gotta look at it as temporary because you're working on what you're doing. You know, I would definitely suggest you have some money in the bank, hopefully,
Hmm.
hopefully. But say there's a situation where you lose your job or something, you're gonna have that downgrade for a bit. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. A lot of people have downgraded just to upgrade again. There's no shame in that. As long as you have the mindset, okay, I got to focus on what I'm doing. I have to do it. I would say a minimum, even if you in business, in a steady business, have a minimum. And this is even if you ain't chasing all this stuff. You good with your job, which is cool. Some people love their jobs. Hey, that can be your dream too, to work on that job. That's cool. I would still say for everyone, work to have at a minimum 1 month's rent and everything to cover the bills. I'm saying that at a minimum. You would definitely want to increase that to more. As a business, if you in business, you definitely want to have a certain amount of money in the bank at all times to cover everything. I would say in general, three months at least in general. But when I say a minimum 1 month, that means you're really going to have to hustle and get something else going in there. Like if you lose your job or something. That's why, see, that's another reason savings is important, even if it's a little bit a month. There's been some points in my life I might save $5 a paycheck, but it would add up quick. After a few months or something, it would add up quick because then I would add to it, and all of a sudden it's like boom. But then when something pops up, an emergency or something with the job, you got that savings at least for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was gonna say something else. Yeah. Okay. When we were talking earlier, I didn't write this down, but I realized that you also learn things when you set out on your path and you're unsuccessful for whatever reason. Before all this, at one point, I was interested in becoming a real estate investor, and I
Mhm.
crashed and burned in that thing. I learned a lot, and I think there are lessons that helped me with this,
Yes.
but there are also things you learn when you set out to pursue a dream and it doesn't come to
Yeah.
fruition. So I want to tell everybody that.
Well, no, and that's important. You still learn something. At the very least, you learn, okay, this ain't for you. But then you can still learn some skills there that can go to something else, because you have a lot of serial entrepreneurs and stuff, and they might jump into different things, but then they find that thing to stick. But then they got the skills that they learn. See, that's the main thing. No matter what you do, you still got the skills. And it might not pan out. It might not
Mhm.
pan out, but then you still got the skills that you learn, because what you'll find is once you learn skills in one area, you can transfer the general principles to any other area. If you because the thing is it's discipline. No matter what, you learning that discipline. So okay, yeah, it didn't pan out, but then you also learn how to lose. You learn how to look at stuff, and then indeed, you might learn what you can do to make it successful. I use an example of a famous entertainer, Tyler Perry. When he did his first play, it was a total failure. Total failure. 30 people showed up, and it was tough for him. He did the exact same play, but he learned from it. That when he did the exact same play again, he casted pastors from the area he was in. He casted pastors. The pastors brought their own people to come watch the play. Boom, success. So it's like, but he learned. He say, okay, figure it out. Because as you on that path, and that's part of the reason why it's a squiggly line, you're gonna come across some stuff. Like when I was selling books and everything, I was learning gradually. It's like, okay, if I'm sitting, like if I'm vending, let me use that example. If I'm vending, I learned if I'm just sitting at the table and talking to people, it wasn't that good. I might get some people here and there. I learned anytime I'm vending, only time I'm going to sit down is when I'm eating.
Hmm.
That's the only time I'm going to sit down. I learned like vending when I was at expos and everything. Okay, I want to be more successful. First of all, I need to be dressed well. I need to be looking crisp and clean. I need to be standing right out in front of my table. I need to be saying hi to people. Not even ask them to come over to the table. Just be, hey, how you doing? How you doing and stuff. Just by doing that, all of a sudden, people will come over to the table more and stuff. And that's just one example. You learn as you're doing any business, you learn, okay, do I need to present it differently? When I was doing retail as a merchandiser, you make a big thing was placing the stuff and like doing something small. Like if I had a bunch of polos or something, put them out, stack them, but then I would fold them a certain way, present them a certain way, pop the collars on them literally, sell like crazy and stuff. Like just a presentation. You're always learning, always learning. What can you do? So that's the thing.
Okay. Well, the last question is this. You might find this funny. I don't know if you're familiar with Damon Dash.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was Shannon Sharp did a podcast slash interview with Dame Dash. Everyone knows Dame Dash. He's very cocky,
Mhm.
very cocky, very sure of himself. So he says, if your dream If people don't look at you like you're crazy because of your dream, if your dream doesn't draw any criticism, then your dream is whack. What do you think about that?
He got a good point, though. He got a good
Really?
point. And I'm gonna tell you why, though. Even though you prefer they don't look at your dream as whack, it can be annoying because they'll be
Yeah,
annoying. But
yeah,
I see his point. I see his point because other people don't have your dream. Because
yeah,
most people, this is an unfortunate thing. Most people don't pursue their dreams. Most people don't have that vision. Most people, quite frankly, are living a secondhand life. That's why gossip and stuff is so important because people ain't living their own lives. You know, most people don't have that vision. They don't have the vision you do because they don't have any experience in it. Like when I started out writing, I was doing the books. Most people, they didn't see it because they weren't writers. The only annoyance I got was when a woman who was working in publishing wasn't trying to help me. And she had been a woman I had dated several times, been sexually intimate with, and she wasn't trying to help. So I'm like, hold up. That annoyed me, but everybody else, I was like, yeah, I just don't know about it. Because everything I'm doing now, every single thing, even having this conversation, is based on my writing. Because all they saw was how much books would sell or something. They didn't see how many connections I would make, how many articles I would write and stuff, who I would meet. You know, they didn't see the bigger picture. If you think about it, somebody like George Lucas is a billionaire based on writing a story.
mm-hmm,
If you look at a lot of these creators, that woman who wrote Harry Potter, she's a billionaire off of writing a story.
mm-hmm.
So it depends on what you writing. You know, you could be a copywriter for some writing ads or something. That's writing, advertising. They didn't have the vision. They didn't have the vision. So of course it's crazy for them. So yeah, you don't want it to happen, but I see his point.
Mm.
And that's one thing when you're pursuing your dreams, just a reality. A lot of times you can't really discuss it with people.
You know what? That was the last question. Before I ask this, everyone, part of my vision is starting a newsletter. The link is here if you want to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
I showed it at the beginning, but that was my last question. Do you share your dream with only a select few, or do you share it with everybody?
No, only
I
a
mean, because
select
you're gonna have
few.
naysayers. You're gonna say that's not gonna work. Why don't you just stay at your job? Or no, that's never
Um,
gonna fly.
I'm gonna tell you what, and I learned this from sharing the dream of writing. I don't share
Uh,
it with everybody unless they're in that field.
okay.
If I meet somebody and they in something I want to get into, I learn to share it with them. One of the best things I did was share my writing vision. Like there was a young lady, it was an interesting relationship. It wasn't quite a relationship, but it wasn't quite a friend zone thing either. It was interesting. But she was the first person who encouraged my writing. She was the first person. She was there because she was a writer herself.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she was an actress too. She had actually been in some very small parts in some plays. And she was extremely encouraging. She was extremely encouraging. So the lesson I learned there is when you share your dream, share it with somebody who's kind of on that same path because they understand. They can help you. When I first started out writing, I had constructive criticism from several other writers or people familiar with that field. Even some bookstore owners and stuff. Constructive criticism. They ain't tell me no. They just told me what I need to do. They read my stuff. They talk to me and say, okay, what you got to work on some punctuation. Okay. Got a missing word here and there. Okay. All right. You got to work on your style. The style is too stilted. Like I said, I noticed the difference between my most recent fiction and then my fiction back in the day. I didn't get mad at them. They were giving me constructive criticism, but they not one of them said you can't do it. Well, the one who worked in publishing and stuff, but even she didn't say I couldn't do it. She just was telling me all the negative stuff instead of telling me the positive stuff.
Yeah.
So even her, she still didn't tell me I couldn't do it. But it was annoying. She didn't give me any real pointers though. But other than her, I was just dealing with writers because that one who helped me, this young lady, very beautiful, very beautiful. Even now, she's in. She might be just turning 50. She still looks gorgeous. She
Mm-hmm.
still looks gorgeous because we're Facebook friends. But she totally believed in my stuff. Totally. She totally, because she was on that path. Because, like I say, she was a writer. She was also an actress. So she was totally on that path. So
So,
she understood.
so she was a creative. That's called a
Yeah.
creative, quote
Yeah,
unquote.
she was a creative. And I mean, it was just one of the dearest relationships I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the dearest relationships, and it wasn't like I said. It was between like an intimate sexual thing, but also not quite friend zone. It was like we were more friends who could be touchy. I put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it. That's the best way to look at it. I kind of understood everything because she knew she wasn't going to stay in the area and stuff. She was going to get into the acting. She was going to pursue it.
Yeah.
So and she had to leave the city. I met her in D.C., so she knew she was leaving the area at some point.
Yep.
So, but we were still cool. But she was totally supportive. See, one of the things when you have that dream, you need to be around people who support it, who believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to put you down. That's the most important thing. So you can't share it. Don't go out and yell it out to the world and stuff, because you get total strangers and they'll put you down and stuff. Because one of the things that irritated me with the writing, I had people talking all this stuff, but they didn't say, "Oh, how good is your stuff?" There's another woman, and there's actually a picture of us on IG and stuff. There's a picture of us on IG. You got to go way down there. But I remember when I told her, I met her back in the 90s, and I told her I wanted to write and everything. And her first thing is, let me see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to write now. She wants to write now. And she has a daughter who's very creative, even has a YouTube channel. So it's like she understood it. See, and even my co-parent, she's a writer. She's a writer now. So it was like one of the things, once you're around those people and pursuing your dreams, it even affects your relationships.
Yeah. 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 I was thinking as you were saying that there are some people, and if you're a creative with a dream and you're just getting started or you're trying to launch it, beware of the
Mhm.
people who just aren't listening to understand. They just want to come in and poke holes and give you feedback.
Exactly.
Beware of those people. And the other thing is, I don't know if you ever heard of the book around the Four Agreements.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
read it, ironically,
yeah.
but
I, I
I've heard about it.
I read
I
it.
know about it.
I'm rereading it. I might do a stream on it. One of the most powerful things that author says is that when people attack you, when people disparage you, when they criticize you, it's often more about them than it is
Mhm.
about you. It's
Yeah,
often it's often it's often a reflection of what's on the inside of them than it is on you and what you're doing. So just be mindful of that. When someone rips your stuff and rips you, then it's there's something else going on there.
yeah, and that's the thing, and that it once again that person hasn't pursued their own dreams. See, one thing about when you're around people pursuing dreams, they're going to be understanding even if they have no idea about what you're doing. Don't know anything, but they're going to be like, "Hey, you can do this," because they understand the life. It's a certain life that you got to live because it's tough. You don't have the support, even in those communities where, okay, like in a writers community, sometimes they can be competitive. So you might not get the support there either. They worried about you going to be better than them. So that's the thing. That's the thing. But you still, you got to keep going. You got to like still try to be around people who are in that craft. You could be a musician, you could be a poet and stuff. That's the importance of communities. Because, just talking now, I was thinking about some of the women I've had the best relationships with. They were writers or at least supportive of writers or had that dream themselves, that creative thing.
Hmm.
Because I know y'all see me doing all this, but like I said, if I had my druthers, I'll just be writing my science fiction novel and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I need to write because I'll say it like this: some stuff happening now. I was seeing it a few years ago, and I had a term for it because it was going to be the backdrop of a science fiction story that I got all the notes for. I need to jump back on it. It's so much, you
Okay.
know. It's so much.
Well, Uncle Ram, I think this is a good place for us to conclude things. Do you have any final or parting thoughts?
Yeah. Everybody out there that hears the sound of my voice, go for your dream. I don't care what it is. And don't, you know what? Yeah, it's great you can make money, but you know what? Just perfect the craft. The money might come. Because think about like okay, YouTube and everything now. You got some people becoming millionaires off of YouTube because of their charisma, their talent and everything. But 20 years ago, they probably would have to work a regular job, because you never know what'll happen. You don't know what the environment will be. Just go for it anyway. Because one of the things just with YouTube social media, it was perfect for my skill set, but it wasn't around in the 90s. So, it's like, okay, okay. You never know. You never know. Anyway, just go for the craft and see what happens. In fact, by you going for the craft, you might actually create the industry. That's how deep it is. You never know. Somebody might come up with something that I can't even think about. It might be some innovative way of doing stuff. It could be some type of music style or something, and it could create a whole industry just because they went for their dream. That's how deep it is. Don't worry about the money so much, though. Yes, you want to make money from it, but just pursue the craft, pursue it, whatever it is, and you just never know. Like I said, just think about these young YouTubers now. They making all their money. They just got fun personalities. They probably would have had trouble making it into the entertainment industry 30 years ago because there's so many checks and so many doors and gatekeepers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now all they need is a good smartphone or something and they can make money. You know, you just never know. Just go ahead and do it. And even if you don't make money from it, you still going to have a sense of fulfillment. Even if you got to work a regular job and all of that, you'll still have a sense of fulfillment in your life. So that's the important thing. Go for it. Just go for it and stuff. Like they say, shoot for the moon, even if you miss you among the stars.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, on that note, everyone, especially those folks watching on the playback, please consider joining or signing up for the Big Words LLC newsletter.
Please do.
This link is in the description box below. There's a greeting, and then there's a subscribe button there at the bottom. I promise I won't give your information away to a third party. I foresee this going out monthly, and I will, in large part, I'll be talking about several things, but highlighting several pieces. But I'll be talking about my book project, the engineers. The link for the newsletter, it's below, but I'll drop it in the chat right now. I saw to thank you for spamming my Cash App there. But my book project is here. The engineers. That is literally one of our jerseys from the early 1990s. I get goosebumps looking at that.
Wait, are those old short shorts that you used to have back then?
Those were that's a uniform from the early 1990s. Those are Champion. That's a uniform made by Champion. And yeah, there was the battle for who could get the longest shorts. And the JV guys, when I was in the varsity team, we didn't even wear those shorts. We wore the maroon shorts with the white tops. But yeah, you were transitioning out of the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson thing into the Michael Jordan Fab Five long shorts thing. But that link is below. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. Please check that out. And also, if you are an aspiring writer, I also set this platform up for newbies as well. So it has multiple purposes, and it's still a young platform. So with that, everyone, thank you for watching. Uncle Rom, thank you for being here and gracing us with your knowledge and experience.
It's an honor to be on here with, Dr. Goodbar. It's an honor to be on here with the Genius Bruiser. So it's an honor.
Okay. Well, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I will be inviting Uncle Ron back more in the future. But please like, share, and subscribe. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and we will talk to you the next time. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.
All right. Evening, everyone.